In 1936, a widow in Muncie, Indiana, buried a coffee can behind her chicken coop with $340 in it. Money 3 different banks in her town had already lost for her once. She never told the bank president what she thought of him, but she never trusted a teller's window again either. By the time she died in 1971, she owned her house outright, owed nobody a cent, and had taught 4 grandchildren to do the same. None of them remembered how. Number 19 on this list was something the banking industry spent 40 years trying to quietly discourage, not because it was dangerous, but because it worked too well without them. Number 9 is something most retirees are legally entitled to right now and never ask for, because nobody at the county office is required to tell you. Number 3 is a habit insurance companies do not want spreading. These are 25 money tricks your grandparents used when the entire financial system had already failed them once, and every one of them still works today. They were not erased because they stopped functioning. They were erased because somebody stopped getting paid the moment you remembered them. Before we start, hit subscribe, because what follows could put real money back in your pocket this year. Let's count them down. Number 25, the envelope budget. Before apps, before spreadsheets, retirees who lived through the Depression managed every dollar with paper envelopes labeled by hand: rent, groceries, medicine, church. When an envelope emptied, spending in that category stopped. No borrowing from next week, no overdraft, no mystery. You could see exactly what you had left just by feeling the thickness of the envelope in your hand. A retiree on a fixed income today can run this exact system with a social security check and 4 plain envelopes. Modern budgeting apps charge up to $15 a month to track spending, and they sell your shopping data to advertisers while they do it. The envelope never sold anything, it just told the truth every single time for free. Number 24, paying cash and asking for the cash discount. Many small businesses, mechanics, dentists, hardware stores, even some pharmacies, still quietly knock 2 to 4% off a bill if you pay cash instead of card, because card processing fees eat into their margin. Retirees who grew up before credit cards existed never stopped asking. Card companies do not advertise this discount because every swipe you make earns them a small fee, and that fee adds up to billions of dollars a year across the country. A retiree who asks whether cash gets a better price at every counter can save real money over a year, and almost nobody at the counter will say no, because the owner would rather keep the sale than lose it to a rival with lower prices. Number 23, the Christmas Club account. Starting in January, families deposited a fixed amount weekly into a locked savings account at the local bank, untouchable until November. 50 cents a week became real holiday money with 0 debt. Banks eventually killed most of these programs because the accounts paid no interest and generated no fees. The money just sat there, safe, doing exactly what it was supposed to do. A retiree can rebuild this today with a separate savings account and a standing automatic transfer the day the pension or social security check lands before a single other bill touches it. The money is gone from your checking balance before you ever have the chance to miss it. Number 22, bartering skills for goods and services. A retired carpenter fixes a neighbor's porch step in exchange for garden vegetables all summer. A retired seamstress alters clothes for free haircuts. No cash changes hands, no bank sits in the middle, and historically, no transaction fee was ever collected. The IRS technically classifies bartered goods and services as taxable income above certain thresholds, and enforcement culture around this has made many people forget the practice exists at all. But small, informal skill trades between neighbors have quietly continued in every small town in America. Your grandparents' generation ran entire local economies this way when cash was scarce, and half the block never touched a dollar bill in a given week. Number 21, growing food instead of buying it. A $10 packet of seeds can produce $50 or more of vegetables over a summer. Retirees who garden report grocery bill reductions of a third or more during growing season, and canning extends that savings straight into winter. Some homeowners associations and municipalities have restricted front yard vegetable gardens over the decades, a fight that traces back to grocery and agricultural lobbying against home food production competing with retail. In most places, a backyard garden remains completely legal, and it was never illegal to begin with. It was just discouraged until people forgot to ask, the same way they forgot to ask about half the things on this list. Number 20. Buying day-old bread and bakery markdowns. Grocery store bakeries mark down bread, pastries and baked goods by 30 to 50% at closing or the next morning because unsold baked goods lose value fast and the store would rather sell them cheap than throw them out. Depression-era families lined up for it without a hint of embarrassment. A retiree who asks the bakery counter what time markdowns happen can build an entire bread habit around a fraction of retail price, and the bread is identical to what sold at full price 6 hours earlier. The only thing that changed is the clock, not the loaf. Number 19. Keeping cash reserves at home. Between 1930 and 1933, more than 9,000 American banks failed, and depositors lost what would be worth close to $30 billion today. Families who kept some cash hidden at home, in coffee cans, sewn into mattress hems, folded inside books, could still buy food and medicine when their neighbors' accounts were frozen solid for weeks at a time. The banking industry has spent the better part of a century encouraging Americans to keep everything in an account, and FDIC insurance genuinely does protect deposits now. But the instinct to keep a small emergency reserve completely outside the banking system, where no algorithm, no fraud flag, and no bank holiday can freeze it, is not paranoia. It is memory. It remains perfectly legal to keep cash in your own home. Nobody built a law against it. They just built a culture that made you feel foolish for doing it. This is where the pattern starts to matter. Every trick so far shares one thread. Each one removes a bank, a company, or a subscription from the transaction. Every dollar in an envelope is a dollar that isn't sitting in an account generating fees for someone else. Every barter is an exchange no lender ever touches. Every homegrown vegetable is a grocery charge that never hits a card statement. The financial industry didn't grow into a trillion-dollar business by helping you keep more of your money. It grew by inserting itself into every transaction and taking a small percentage each time cash changed hands. Your grandparents understood something that took the rest of us generations to relearn. The fewer institutions that touch your money, the more of it stays yours. Keep that thought running in the background, because it only gets more obvious from here. Number 18. Using the library as a free financial toolkit. Public libraries offer free tax filing help through trained volunteers during filing season, free notary services in many branches, free legal aid clinics, free computer and internet access, and free courses on everything from budgeting to home repair. Retirees who grew up without money for extras never stopped treating the library as infrastructure rather than entertainment. Streaming and subscription services now charge what used to be free at any public counter in America. And most retirees don't realize how much of that library catalog has quietly expanded to cover exactly what they're now paying for elsewhere, sometimes twice over. Number 17. The layaway system. Before credit cards, you picked an item, the store held it, and you paid it off in installments with 0 interest and 0 debt. When the balance hit 0, you took it home, already paid for. Several major retailers, including Walmart and Kmart successor stores, still run seasonal layaway programs, particularly around the holidays. When credit cards spread through the 1970s and 80s, most stores quietly killed their layaway programs because credit purchases generate interest and processing fees that layaway never did. A retiree who asks, "Do you still do layaway?" at a big box store during the holiday season is often surprised the answer is yes, and even more surprised that the clerk had to go find someone who remembered how it worked. Number 16. Negotiating every recurring bill. Cable bills, insurance premiums, even some medical bills are far more negotiable than most people assume. Companies have retention departments specifically built to offer discounts rather than lose a paying customer. Depression-era families negotiated rent, feed prices, even doctors' bills as a matter of routine, because fixed pricing on everything is a relatively modern invention. A retiree willing to make one phone call a year and simply ask, "Is there a lower rate available?" on a cable, phone, or insurance bill regularly finds one. Companies count on the fact that most customers never ask and budget entire departments around the assumption that silence is profit. Number 15, sharing housing costs. Doubling up was common sense during the Depression, not a last resort. Two retirees sharing a home split rent, heat, and property tax roughly in half, and companionship came free with the arrangement. A household that costs $1,800 a month for one retiree costs $900 each for two. Pride kept many people from considering it for decades, the same way it did in the 1930s. But a growing number of retirees are quietly returning to house-sharing arrangements, specifically because the math has become impossible to ignore, and because an empty spare room costs exactly the same whether somebody is sleeping in it or not. Number 14, buying used before buying new. Estate sales, church auctions, and thrift stores still move quality furniture, tools, and kitchenware at a fraction of retail. A solid table that costs $400 new might run $40 at an estate sale, often in better condition because it was built before manufacturers started designing appliances to fail on a schedule. The retail industry has spent decades normalizing new as the only respectable option. Retirees who came up buying used out of necessity often already know that a 50-year-old cast-iron skillet outperforms anything on a store shelf today, and it was already paid for by someone else's estate, waiting in a church basement for $2. Number 13, avoiding debt as a rule, not a strategy. This wasn't budgeting advice for the Depression generation, it was closer to a commandment. If the money wasn't in hand, the purchase didn't happen. No financing furniture, no financing vacations, no carried balances. That single discipline kept millions of families solvent through the worst economic collapse in American history. Consumer debt in this country now runs into the trillions, and credit card companies have spent decades rebranding debt as leverage and building credit. Your grandparents didn't need the rebrand. They'd already watched what debt did the first time, and they never forgot the sound of a repossession truck idling outside a neighbor's house. Here's the part that gets uncomfortable. None of the tricks on this list expired. The envelope budget still works exactly as well as it did in 1934. Paying cash still avoids interest. Avoiding debt still protects your future income. Not one of these strategies was replaced by something objectively better for the person using it. They were replaced by something more profitable for someone else to sell. The shift from Depression-era money management to modern consumer finance wasn't progress in the way it was marketed. It was a business model, and the product being sold was your future income, sliced into monthly payments and interest charges that compound quietly while you sleep, night after night, whether you notice or not. Number 12. Keeping a price book. A small notebook tracking what staples cost at each nearby store reveals patterns fast. Which store is cheapest for coffee, which for meat, which for produce, turning shopping from convenience into strategy. Grandmothers who did this by hand routinely saved 15 to 20% on groceries just by buying each item where it cost least. Modern price comparison apps do the same job, but they also harvest your shopping data and sell it to advertisers. A $5 notebook does the same work and answers to nobody but you, and it never once tried to sell you something you didn't ask for. Number 11, repairing instead of replacing. A sock with a worn heel got darned with a wooden egg and a needle, not thrown away. A shirt with a hole got patched, not discarded. Appliance and clothing manufacturers have leaned hard into designed obsolescence over the last several decades. Items built to fail just past the point where repair still makes economic sense. Retirees who grew up mending things by lamplight often still have the skill, and a $20 repair on a $600 appliance remains one of the highest return habits on this entire list, assuming you can still find someone willing to open the panel instead of selling you a new one. Number 10. Understanding which accounts and assets get treated differently under Medicaid planning. This is a genuinely complex area of law that varies significantly by state, and the details here are not something to act on without speaking directly to an elder law attorney or your state's Medicaid office. But broadly, certain retirement accounts, primary residences, and irrevocable trusts can be treated very differently in long-term care planning than ordinary savings. and most retirees are never walked through this by anyone because the professionals who explain it usually charge for the conversation. This isn't a secret loophole, it's public information that simply isn't advertised, and confirming your specific situation with a qualified professional is worth the appointment, even if it costs an afternoon. Number 9. Property tax exemptions for seniors. Many states and counties offer property tax freezes, reductions, or exemptions once a homeowner reaches a certain age, often somewhere between 62 and 65, though the exact age and savings vary enormously by location. These programs are almost never applied automatically. In most places, a retiree has to file the paperwork themselves at the local assessor's office, and county offices are not in the business of reminding you. Retirees who never ask often pay full property tax for decades after they qualified for a reduction, simply because nobody told them to file the form, and the form itself usually takes less time to fill out than a single trip to the grocery store. Number 8. Quiet utility discount programs for seniors and low-income households. Many electric, gas, and water utilities run assistance or discount programs for seniors that are barely advertised, sometimes buried on page 4 of a website, sometimes only mentioned if you specifically ask a representative. These programs vary by utility and by state, and eligibility rules differ, but a single phone call asking, "Do you have any senior or fixed income discount programs?" costs nothing, and has surprised a lot of retirees who assumed the answer would be no, right up until the bill dropped the following month. That question, the one nobody asks, is the real pattern behind this entire section. Every institution on this list, from the county assessor to the power company, is legally required to offer certain programs, but almost none of them are required to volunteer that information to you. Silence isn't illegal, it's just profitable. Every year a retiree doesn't ask is a year that money stays with the institution instead of the household that qualified for it in the first place. Number 7. Unadvertised senior discount days. Certain grocery chains, pharmacies, and hardware stores run senior discount days that are barely mentioned outside a small sign near the pharmacy counter, often a specific weekday, often 5 to 10% off. Depression-era families asked, "Is there a better price today?" out of habit. That habit never stopped being useful. A retiree who simply asks a cashier once whether a senior discount exists is often the first customer that week to ask, and often walks out having saved more than the gas it took to get there. Number 6. The sinking fund jar. Rather than let one large annual bill, property tax, car insurance, holiday spending, hit like a surprise, Depression-era households set aside a small fixed amount every week specifically earmarked for that future bill, physically separated so it couldn't be spent on anything else. By the time the bill arrived, the money was already there, in full, with zero borrowing. A retiree can run this today with a labeled envelope or a separate low-balance savings account for each predictable annual expense, breaking a once-a-year shock into 52 small, painless deposits that nobody misses on payday. Number 5. Cooperative bulk buying among neighbors. During the Depression, 10 families would pool money and buy a £100 sack of flour directly from a wholesaler, splitting it far below retail price, with one family providing the truck and another the storage space. This is functionally identical to what Costco sells today for an annual membership fee. A small group of retirees in the same building or neighborhood splitting a bulk order of paper goods, canned staples or produce recreates the same math with a shared car trunk instead of a membership card, and nobody has to swipe anything at the door to get in. Number 4. Part-time or informal income that respects Social Security's earnings rules. Some retirees who haven't yet reached full retirement age can still work part-time or take on skilled trade jobs, such as tutoring, small repairs, and consulting, without losing benefits entirely, though Social Security does apply earnings limits before full retirement age that reduce benefits above a certain threshold, and those thresholds change from year to year. This is genuinely worth a direct conversation with the Social Security Administration before taking on paid work, because the rules are specific and getting them wrong can mean an unexpected benefit reduction. Your grandparents' generation rarely stopped working entirely at retirement. Full stopping is a relatively modern invention, and part-time income, done within the rules, remains one of the most direct ways to close a monthly gap without touching savings at all. Number 3. Buying big-ticket items off-season. Appliances, furniture, and even cars are reliably cheaper at specific points in the calendar. Appliances in September and October when new models arrive, furniture in January, cars at the end of a model year or the end of a calendar month when dealers are chasing quotas. Depression-era families who bought nothing on impulse learned to wait for exactly these windows because timing cost nothing and saved real money. Retailers do not advertise which month is worst for their margins. A retiree who simply waits for the right month on a major purchase can save what amounts to a meaningful percentage off the same identical item bought 2 months earlier, sitting on the exact same showroom floor. Number 2. Teaching the next generation before they need it. The most overlooked money trick isn't a technique at all, it's transmission. Depression-era children learned about money by watching it happen at the kitchen table, counting coins, negotiating with a landlord, choosing what not to buy, and grew into the most disciplined generation of savers in American history. Many of them wanted better for their own children and quietly shielded them from those same lessons, letting prosperity teach the opposite one, that debt was normal and tomorrow would handle itself. A retiree who sits a grandchild down and actually walks through an envelope budget, a price book, or a sinking fund jar is not just saving them money later. They're passing along the one asset that never gets repossessed, no matter what happens to the economy around it. And number 1, total household independence. Every trick on this list is a piece of the same idea. The envelope budget and the price book give you control over what goes out. The garden and the barter economy give you food and services no supply chain disruption can touch. The cash reserve and the debt avoidance rule give you a buffer no bank holiday or market crash can freeze. The exemptions and discounts you finally ask for give you back money you were always owed. None of this is about deprivation. It's about how much of your own life you owe to somebody else before you've even spent $1. Your grandparents were not poor for using these tricks. Many of them were sovereign. They owed less to the bank, less to the credit card company, less to the utility, because every single habit on this list quietly removed one more institution from standing between them and their own money. That is the whole game, and it was never actually complicated. It just stopped being profitable for someone else the moment you learned it. Here's the challenge. Pick one, just one. Set up the envelope budget this week. Ask one cashier about a senior discount you didn't know existed. Call the county assessor and ask, flat out, whether you already qualify for a property tax reduction nobody told you about. Then come back and tell me what happened. Tell me whether the cash discount trick or the property tax question saved you more this year, because I want to know which one surprised people most. These were never just old habits. They were leverage, quietly taken away one convenience at a time. Your grandparents kept it. Now you can take it back too.